Hello, welcome. I have a few projects going on, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a reading out today, guys, because I don't know that I'll be able to do a read for you in the next couple days. Okay? We just had a half moon over the weekend. We have a full moon coming up next weekend. Okay, so if you're starting to feel an increase in the energy, yes. It's also Leo season, so keep that in mind. Summertime, right? The initiation and Imrama. What are you being called to journey to and rite of passage, crossing the threshold, right? You don't want to stay in darkness forever, right? At a certain point, you're like, yes. And I just put on some ocean sounds because it's like sometimes, you need to be around water or some other kind of cleansing thing, right? You're not going to be in a cave, in a hermit cave forever, right? Collective, okay. Let's see what else here. This is the light worker deck, FYI. Warrior woman, have you answered your deepest calling? Okay, so I feel like once you come out of this hermit energy here and you step into this, then people are going to see where you are at, right? And you might be answering that call presently. If you haven't yet, this is a reminder, okay? Grandmother of Jesus here, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. First name Anna, okay. Share your voice again. Come out of the cave, persecution, expression. A lot of artists go through a period of, right, some kind of silence. And sometimes that's when the art comes out even more, right? So, collective, digging into that is actually going to be good for you. Okay. Sometimes we want to run away from that, but running towards it actually, in this case, is going to help you, get to this point, right? To come out of this cave. Okay. So people can see what is going on, basically. Right. And you can stand tall, just like grandma would have wanted you to do. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. There's also a lot of travel pictures on this card, so you could be getting called to travel somewhere as well. Okay. You could be there could be some relatives, type thing to travel and see as well. All right, this is the Moonology deck, okay? So let's pull some Moonology cards, please, for this collective. A fiery climax approaches, Moon in Aries. Another fire sign, yeah. And full moon as well, okay. Bold and make the first move, Cardinal. Okay. Is Alexa, is Leo a cardinal sign?
From WikiHow.com, Leo is a cardinal sign.
It is.
They're more flexible and intuitive.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, and Leos are kind of the type that would be bold and make the first move, right? Like, so maybe that's part of, your where everyone else is like, no, you can't go beyond the la 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 la. You can't go into the forbidden zone. You can't do da. You know what I'm saying? Well, how do you know until you, right? Okay, yeah. Are you taking a risk? Sure. Okay. You and your loved ones are safe. New moon in Cancer. So, collective, sometimes the full moon brings like an uneasiness energy to it. This is not that for me. It's more of an excited type energy. And part of that is because, this is probably, like technically within the summer season, like, isn't it the last full moon, right? Because will the next full moon be technically in fall or lean into fall? All right, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we won't have similar weather, but like where I'm at already, there's been like a shift and I can feel it. Like, and in the evenings it's gotten down to like 50 degrees. Like there, so yeah, the Cancer energy, like the cooling, that again, that water, that soothing, yes. Okay. So it's kind of one of those things, collective, when you scratch that itch, you know what I mean? It's like it's an annoyance, but yet once you fix the problem, you're just going to be so much happier, right? And sometimes it's just cutting the tag. I mean, is there a cord you need to cut? You know what I mean? Couldn't it be that simple, right? So don't worry so much about the folks around you, because the choices that you're making are good for you and your direction, okay? Your hard work is paying off. New moon in Capricorn. Okay, so um what's coming up is full moon, cardinal sign Leo. So you might be called to some kind of action here, okay? And it literally says, where are you being called to journey to? Okay. So after that happens, right, and then you're gonna like have some realizations, right? And then you're gonna be like, okay, well, now that I went through that, but I'm gonna go back to, you know what I mean? Like you go and have this little adventure, but you come back home, right? And then it's like, okay, yeah, me and my loved ones are safe. So now when I'm like doing, oh yeah, I'm back to doing my hard work, and yeah, it's like clockwork for you. It's not the struggle that it might be for some other folks. Yeah, a time for healing. Okay, so this is kind of um when it's like, okay, to take a baseball analogy, right? You've already made it to second base. Miraculously, somehow you got to third. Maybe you hit that elusive triple. I'm just saying. But you made it to third base, and now it's like all you gotta do is slide on home, right? Um, so yeah, that's what I feel like these new moon energies are here for. Okay. So once you take some of those actions and it kind of shakes out a little bit, but it's going to be like, oh, that was so fun and exciting and blah, blah, blah. And then you're like going to be taking notes about what you liked, and maybe you're going to have an idea that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go and do this now, blah, blah, blah. It's all that. So go ahead and like take the leap and, possibly dive into those activities, okay, whatever that is for you, because that hard work is going to pay off. That's the actual manifestation that you're making, right? You know, ooh, I was just on my Snapchat, and there's like some younger guy that I guess counsels couples about money and stuff. And oh my, some of these cases. And yeah, there was a woman on there with four jobs, right? It's like, and then her apparent husband, like, whoa, like I thought this was just like some live-in slack boyfriend, but no, she's actually married to it. It was like, oh my god. You know what I mean? Where it's like life choices. You know, and I was thinking about that. You know, and they were only been married for 2 years. Like, couldn't she like file for an annulment or a divorce based on um, false pretenses, right? You know what I mean? Because she'd be like, oh yeah, well he said he was gonna have a job and said this and this, and here I am having four jobs, and he has no intention. And in the meantime, he racked up like all this credit card debt and stuff, and he was like laughing about it, and like obviously he's not working to pay any of this debt. I was like, oh my god. Anyway, you know what I mean? It's like at a certain point, collective, you have to say, no, I am not that person, and you're also not that person's mother. You're not that person's teacher. You're not that person's anything. Okay? And stop acting like they're a goddamn ATM. Jesus. You know what I mean? It's one thing when you pool your resources or you actually are participating on things together, but somebody that's actively working against you in such an egregious way. It was just like, wow, you know. Some people I guess just have no shame. And some people have been, supported their whole lives to the extent that they have never actually had to think about their resources. Do you know what I mean? Like some people get help and they actually understand and appreciate those resources. Other people get resources and they don't understand what it even means to have a resource. And then they're looking at you like, well, aren't you the resource? No, I'm not. Go home. That's why you got 2 arms and 2 legs and supposedly a brain. But yeah, cry about it later, honey, right? Oh, I thought he was the best thing ever. Just go get divorced now. Save yourself the Trust me, there will be more tears the longer you hang on. The longer you hang on, there will be more tears because you'll be kicking yourself for being stupid. Go now. What was that Moody Blues song? Go now. Go now. Go now. Yeah, collective, you have a different standard and you stand up for what you believe in. And that's why, yeah, you might be the gold standard. All right. And yeah, the fiery climax of somebody realizing that. So, it's like, yeah. Anyway. Anyway, getting back to business. So that might be part of the threshold that you're crossing is away from people that are operating under false pretenses and facades and things of that nature. And because, like, when you really get down to it, they don't have a leg to stand on. And, the thing is, collective, we all know that things can change, like, very quickly. You know. Um, what they say on Project Runway is one of my favorite TV shows. And they would say, one day you in, the next you're out. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's kind of like that. So, don't be so dependent on everybody else, loving and adoring you, right? You got to make sure you know how to create things for yourself, right? Is kind of what I'm getting at there. Okay, so that's part of where you've crossed that threshold away from even a community of folks that, like, they don't understand that that's possible type thing. Like their vision is, or else they're not willing to make the sacrifice. They're too, whatever, it's just for them, they're looking through the window and that's their taste level. Okay, because whatever, you know. But for you, collective, you're actually, you know, because when you walk the rite of passage, then you've earned the right. You know what I mean? It's like all the people that finish, the Chicago Marathon or the New York City Marathon or whatever big marathon. Like, it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, like, what place you finished, because once you finish something like that, that's still an achievement. Nobody can ever take that away from you, right? Like, when you graduated high school, graduated college, gotten those degrees, nobody can take that away from you, right? So, well, I mean, as long as you're not, well, I mean, still, I mean, even those doctors that go to jail, I mean, they still went to medical school, right, at a certain point. But they're not allowed to practice medicine anymore, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I don't know why, well, I know why that came up, but you know what I'm saying. Just as an extreme example. Um, you think they employ those folks as, like, jailhouse doctors? Is that what happens? Is that what happens with those folks? I'm just curious. Chill mode. Yeah. So you might be being called to boldly chill out, right? Whereas maybe before you've always been in the mix. Okay. And that mix being like the mix of getting through the darkness. And now you're like, well, you know what? I just made it here, so can you just like allow me my, 30 minutes soak here for a moment, right? And, put on your do not disturb sign, and that could be the boldness that you're displaying. For some people, school started, blah blah. Maybe you're in a new class. Maybe you're, excited to get into new stuff or new projects at school or new clubs, activities, whatever it is. And somebody's like, "Oh, I want to do this, this, and this, and this," right? Well, it's like, well, you already been done, did that. You know what I mean? Like, we're on to the next one now. Okay, you know. It's like we stepped out of kindergarten, or we stepped out of grade school, or we stepped out. You know what I'm saying? Some of these games that people play are really, the mentality is pretty basic, I guess is what I want to say. Yeah, it's this type thing where they don't want anybody to actually win out of the situation. They just want to. It's like that misery loves company type. So this is a thing where it's like you and your loved ones are safe. Like don't feel like you have to engage with every knucklehead out there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like somebody almost backed into my car the other day when I was going to pick up food, and I kind of like hollered a little bit because I was like, hey, I'm like, I'm still backing in parking here, and the dude just like, the car stopped and they could hear me talking, but they didn't roll down the window. They did. I mean, he could have had a weapon pointed at me. I would have had no idea. Do you know what I mean? And then we really would have had no win on the situation. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But I was trying to let him know, like, hey, man, I'm like, I'm trying to pick up my food here too, man. You ain't the only one that's hungry today. Sir, ma'am, whoever you are in the little friggin' tracker looking vehicle. Hey, good grief. Obviously, it wasn't a newer one that had the backup thing on it. Beep, 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 right? And that's like a busy lot. Like they should have looked. I mean, there's one of them little Caesars in there. That place is, as soon as that place opens, it's busy. There's people going, and then there's a smoke shop next door. Like, are you kidding me? You can't just be coming zipping in and out of the parking lot. Anyway. Oh well, yeah. I think they finally got the message and they finally drove off, but it was like, it's like I didn't want to have to say nothing, but here you are, nearly backing into my damn car. Okay, because your peas are in a twist about being somewhere right now. Okay, yeah, it's still the summer. I gotta. Some of y'all are back in school. Some of you on the time crunch. Some of you doing this. Guess what? Not everybody's back in that schedule. And one day you'll be out of it too. Because that shit don't last forever neither. Nobody's a birthing machine that hard. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Especially the real self-important ones that I already had to post about. What was that? A year or so ago in the parking lot of the church. Ladies coming through the church school line to, whatever, pick up. But church was getting out at the same time because it's combined. Anyway. And she was listening to a work meeting. And her SUV was so fucking big. It was the same as one of those ones they had on the 60 Minutes, where it's like it's so high that it takes like an extra 2 to 3 feet to see these children and stuff in the parking lot. I mean, I was just trying to exit the parking lot and leave from church, and I'm a 5'6" female, and I'm not a stick figure either. Okay, so she's, it's like she didn't see me. She's not going to see a little child walking through the parking lot while she's on her very self-important business call in her $90,000 white Chevy Suburban. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, and not one of those Escalades, because I don't think those Escalades had been out yet. But anyway, it sure pissed me off enough to go tap on her window. Rat-a-tat-tat. I mean, that's the problem, though, is these days probably there's not enough staff at the schools to even have monitors, in these parking lots, enough monitors. You know what I mean? And then it was as we were leaving, and she happened to end up behind me. And then there were these two little kids that come running. I thought, oh my God, what if she had been in front of me? Right? What she was trying to be. Because, she was in her, whatever MSRP. Understand? Hands free doesn't mean that you're fully focused on what you're fucking doing. Because that goddamn thing wasn't made by Tesla or any other of these stupid self-driving shit. Okay, which, I'm just waiting for all the other lawsuits to start rolling in. I think I've already seen some of them. But anyway, that's another topic. I understand it, but, there's also public transportation, folks. Like, it's, we can do better as a society. Anyway, yeah, so we got a full moon coming up, did I mention? So if you don't like arguing with your relatives over there ranting and raving, right? Okay. I feel like you know what I mean? Oh my God. Anyway, I hope everybody have a good week coming up. Message held for review. Krista says hello. Hello. Uh, Sheriff Sale says, ew. Why are you ewing? Because somebody says they subbed? Okay. Somebody says, welcome everybody. Thank you. Hand dance. What kind of hand dance is that? Like shadow puppets? Okay. I don't know. Well, I'm sure some folks in the chat might have figured out what that means today, but to me it will remain a mystery. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye-bye.